Welcome back to a very special episode of the Vegan Test Kitchen where we are veganizing history. We take one very non-vegan meal from another time and veganize it in our modern kitchen using whatever ingredients we have available as of the year 2021. Today we are making George Washington's favorite food, the hoe cake. And if you know nothing about American history, George Washington became the very first president elected of the United States of America in 1789. And fun fact, George Washington has been the only president to this day to have won unanimously, getting 100% of the electoral votes at the time. Back to the hoe cakes. Aside from being a fantastic insult, they likely got their name for being cooked on a griddle. Griddles were also called hoes, dating back to 17th century England, where it was commonplace to bake cakes on a griddle. As far as this recipe goes, it's pretty simple, but it does take a bit of time. So if you want to enjoy this for breakfast like Washington did, you want to make sure to start on these the night before. So let's get started on ours. Now the first thing you want to do is grab 2.5 cups of white cornmeal. We're only using 1 1/4 cups tonight. We're going to use the remaining tomorrow morning. And to that we're going to add our 1/2 teaspoon of active yeast. Give this a good stir. And to that, we're going to add 1 cup of lukewarm water, possibly another 1/2 cup if the mixture is not right. Now, we want this to be the consistency of a pancake batter. All right, then we're going to cover it with plastic wrap and stick it in the fridge for at least 8 hours, preferably overnight. Make it by candlelight, and let it remain by a warm hearth until the next morning. Drop the batter a spoonful at a time on a hoe or griddle, as we say in the South. When done on one side, turn the other. The griddle must be rubbed with a piece of beef suet. It's important to note that George Washington, of course, did not make most of his meals. The person likely to serve him these hoe cakes was the family's enslaved chef, Hercules Posey. Hercules was enslaved by the Washingtons for at least 27 years until he successfully escaped in 1797. Washington later wrote in his will a stipulation that freed all of his slaves upon his and Martha's death. He was the only slaveholding founding father to do so. Alright, now that we have our batter that just came out of the fridge, we're going to add about 1/2 cup to a cup of our lukewarm water. We're going to add our 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And instead of using 1 large egg, we're going to use JUST Egg. You can get these pretty much anywhere now. Kroger, Meijer, what have you. And we are going to mix this thoroughly. All right, now we're going to add our remaining cornmeal and our water, just enough at a time to make sure it has the consistency of a waffle batter. But you want to use all of your cornmeal. All right, I think that's a good consistency. Now we're going to put a towel on this and let it sit at room temperature for about 15 to 20 minutes. In the meantime, we are going to start preheating our griddle or cast iron pan, whichever you got, over a medium to medium-high heat. Now, traditionally they would use a beef suet to grease their griddles, but we're going to use a vegetable shortening as a substitute. And surprisingly enough, it's a great substitute because beef suet doesn't have much of a beef flavor. It's pretty clean and odorless. All right, let's uncover our batter. Cornmeal's had some time to soak up some of that water. And we're just going to scoop this in 1/4 cup at a time. We're only cooking 1 hoe cake at a time. All right, so we're going to cook this for about 5 minutes on the first side, then flip it and cook for another 4 to 5. And of course, if you're using cast iron, you got to monitor it very closely because, you know, the heat can get really out of control really fast. Now the best way to enjoy these is apparently slathered in melted butter and honey or maple syrup. Now we have vegan honey that we're going to use, but we are going to put melted Earth Balance butter on there as well. Use whatever you got. All right, let's try this incredibly healthy dish. So one of the things that I was reading about these is do not be fooled by their appearance. They do not taste like pancakes, which they look just like. But remember, it's cornmeal. So the only sweetness you're getting, of course, is from the honey or maple syrup that you're using. Other than that, it's like, you know, a very mild cornbread. I mean, if you slather anything in maple syrup and butter, it's probably gonna be good. What a way to eat every morning. The texture is not of a pancake, of course. It's a little bit more dense. It's a little bit more crumbly, and it's still soft inside. Essentially, they're cornbread pancakes. All right, y'all, I'm gonna cook the rest of these up. I hope you liked what you saw today. If you did, hit a thumbs up. I would love you for it. And make sure to subscribe and share and comment and all that good stuff. I'll see y'all next time.